Back now at 7:42, and last December, an animal rights group sued the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo over claims that the elephants there are suffering in captivity. The lawsuit failed in a Colorado Springs district court back in June, but has now gone to the Colorado Supreme Court. The zoo argues it provides excellent and specific care to its elephant. And joining me this morning to break down this case is 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor. Whitney, good morning.
Good morning, Jordan.
This is a fascinating case that is being talked about all across the U.S. right now. So they have filed a habeas corpus. What is this type of motion, and what exactly are they seeking for these elephants?
Yeah, this is a very unique situation. So a habeas corpus is essentially a petition to the court saying, hey, I'm being unlawfully detained. And generally it's a last minute or a last ditch kind of effort after all your appeal rights and everything else. And here, what's unique about this is that this is something that's been applied to humans, know, for years and years. And so they're trying to say, hey, these elephants, because of their intelligence and because they're in these captive situations, that they should have those rights, and that this group should be able to file this petition on behalf of them as a friend of the court and get the elephants out of the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo and other zoos. This is the first time to go into a wider sanctuary or even out into the wild.
Is there a precedence for something like this, or would this be a precedent-setting case?
This would certainly be a precedent setting. Now, there have been cases, there's been challenges in New York and California. And what's interesting is in the New York case that they went and they actually appealed. 2 judges actually agreed with, they ruled against the elephants, the nonprofit group, and they said, no, elephants don't have these rights. But there were 2 judges who dissented that said, yes, they should get these rights.
And looking at this through a legal eye, what do you think was the intent of this lawsuit?
Well, there's critics who are saying that, look, this isn't about the elephants. You don't care about the elephants. The bigger picture here is the captivity of all animals. And that's what really creates a really interesting issue, is that you're going to have now, if this were to pass and if the elephants were given rights, habeas corpus rights and other rights, then they would extend, the argument is, to domesticated pets, to farm animals. Where would it end? And then really this calls into question even the notion of eating meat, right? Because if you're talking about these animal rights and if the animals are deemed persons, would this eventually evolve into that argument, which I think logically it would have to.
So we heard these arguments, they were before the justices last week.
Correct.
What were your takeaways from those arguments, and moving forward, what will the justices likely do?
Well, I think the justices were skeptical, and a lot of times you can foretell based on the types of questions that the justices ask, and they really, I think the heart of this is, where would you draw the line? Right. Is this, because part of the argument is that the elephants are so intelligent, and that there's actually some studies showing that there was brain damage because of this captivity, and saying letting them out would actually be better for their mental health, for their overall being. So the judges are saying, where do you draw the line? There's really no precedent. There were these 2 judges who ruled in their dissenting opinions. I don't think, I would be surprised if the justices ruled in favor of the elephants. I just can't see that far of a leap, giving these essentially rights that belongs to humans to animals.
Because of what you described could follow after this.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, and I think the intent of the framers was they didn't envision that animals would ultimately have these rights. So I think constitutionally it's an uphill battle for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Whitney, thank you for breaking this case down. We appreciate it, and of course we're going to follow this very closely, and when there are developments, we'll have you back to help us understand those as well.
I'll look forward to it.
Whitney, thank you. Happy Halloween, my friend.